There we go. Now we got it. Cool. All right. So,
All right. Welcome to Beats and Beatdowns, the podcast show where rock star and a rock radio DJ talk fight, sports, and rock news. And now we're doing it over Zoom because we have an interview, but we can't control shit because Zoom is such ass. So we're just going to have fun our own way regardless. I am Span the Rock Radio DJ.
and I used to say the word that you want me to say every single fucking episode.
Okay, Alfonso, you can refuse. That doesn't change it. I can refuse to be black. I can decide that I'm just a random white dude for some reason and just say I identify with the white race. Does that change this? Hell no, you rock star. Schatten Sie fucking Sie up in my best German.
No, we have a real rock star. His name is Bobby Schubinski. So I think that's the guy that should be the rock star today.
He certainly got the pretty ass neck tattoos to be all about it. Bobby, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. That was a good intro. I appreciate it.
I would hope so, because he's a radio dude. If not, he'd get fired right now. I
can tell, man. You got a good voice for radio, man. No, this
well,
is
thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. It only took me 14 years to figure it the fuck out.
Awesome.
But yeah, the key here is usually we talk fight sports and rock news, but Alfonso was like, yo, I got this guy, Bobby. He has a clothing line. We have to talk to him. And I've always kind of been like, we need to do more interviews. The problem is I can't set up the interviews because, well, I work in radio. And radio hates when you use your resources for anything other than radio because they some hoes. So I can't pursue any interviews, but Alfonso can. But Alfonso was all nervous about pursuing interviews because he's all sensitive about shit. He's like, oh, I don't want to bother him. I don't want to.
Oh, bullshit. Bullshit.
Yeah, but he was like, yo, we gotta get Bobby. So Bobby, welcome, man.
Yeah, man, this is really cool. I mean, this is why you guys got to get on Twitch, because then you can exhaust these, your friendships and get people to do shit to come on, so.
Yeah, no, that's true. I do have a Twitch channel.
I've never thought of using Twitch.
I have a Twitch channel. I've told you that like 7 times. I just never use it.
You guys should get on Twitch.
We gotta have our special, go ahead, Bobby.
No, you guys should get on Twitch because you guys got a really great dynamic already as it is, So, and I think, I know Alfonso is one of the hardest working dudes that we've had on our Twitch show. So I think it would be really cool. I mean, media 20, this is Black Craft's 10-year anniversary this year. And I've been saying it, what got us here won't keep us here. So 2022, I'm going all media, man. I'm all in. Twitch is my big thing. Podcast. I'm trying to do as many podcasts as I can right now. But I think you two on Twitch would be hilarious, man. It'd be fucking awesome. I'm your first subscriber.
There you go.
All right, there you go. I'm saying it right now. This weekend there will be a Twitch channel started. We can start doing this. But before we get to Black Craft, Bobby, how did you get into the world of rock? Like, besides just being a fan of music, what were you doing where you started to move yourself into a realm that eventually turned into a business around the world of rock?
Yeah, so I grew up in a really small town called Avella, Pennsylvania, probably about 45 minutes south of Pittsburgh, PA. Very redneck, very, it's just a very small town. I went to school with I'll paint a really easy picture. I went to school with my graduating class was 38 kids, I want to say.
Jesus.
The biggest thing to do was to go to a Walmart on a Friday night, but we had to drive 40 minutes, right? And to paint a more of a picture, I grew up in that tri-state area. So it was Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio. I could be in West Virginia, Ohio. Yeah, the look on your face. See, if we were on Twitch, everyone can see your reaction because your reaction sums up where I'm from. But
it just sounds like backcountry beer cans on the dirt road, partying in the middle of the woods at 3 o'clock in the morning with your older brother's shag ass weed. That's what it sounds like.
You nailed it. Except I was really a big outcast there, right? You could paint the picture. You could see, I was into the girl jeans, the eyeliner, the headbangers ball. I gravitated towards music, right? Because I feel like I didn't fit in with a lot of people's I don't know, their mindset, I guess you would say, right? I mean, now where I'm from, there's a lot of great people, a lot of hardworking people that I love, and that's where I got my
of course. There's always good people everywhere.
For sure.
But speak your truth, Bobby.
Yeah,
what about the shitheads?
Yeah, no, the shitheads sucked. You know, I mean, being honest, they sucked, and you know, there's a band called Ed Gein. It was a crazy grindcore band.
Yes.
They had a song called Small Towns, Small Minds.
Yep.
And you know, that song got stuck to me because I'm like, I can't relate to these people, you know, like I can't relate to a lot of these people. Besides, you know, we're at the playing field, there's even, right? There's, you know, the median income where I grew up is like $25,000, you know, and that's between, you know, the husband and wife, right, for the median income. Sure. So everyone, you know, everyone's level playing field. You know, if your family made 40,000 median income, you're like, oh fuck, they're really rich, you know. But yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, to speak on the shitheads, it was cool because I never viewed them like in a negative way. I was just like, yeah, I don't fuck with these people. I don't associate with these people. And then, you know, growing up, my dad was a big rock, you know, he was a big rock guy. So, and my dad loved everyone. He's very kind, very loving, and big heart. And he always listened to rock. So I'd just be in a car with my dad and we'd be, you know, listening to like Black Sabbath or Metallica or Kiss. That's where my love for Kiss came. And then I started looking, you know, Kiss was the first band actually where my true real love came. I was like, whoa, these dudes don't give a fuck. Like, they're wearing all the makeup and then I just started, you know, wormholing, and then I got into like the hardcore scene and the metal scene, and just looking at that community, and what I loved about that community was I felt like accepted. Like they had they were like accepting of, it didn't matter what race you were, you know what I mean, like what religion. It just kind of felt like it was just like a different family. And I was like, I fuck with this, you know, like
hold on, Bobby. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm curious. Coming from such a small area, what scene was there to connect with rock and metal back then?
Yeah, honestly, there wasn't. You know, luckily there was MySpace, honestly, and very fortunate. You know, I don't give this guy enough credit, but there was a guy named Josh Talsevic I grew up with. He was a little bit older than me. He was the only other weirdo, right? It was you know, if you want to call it. You know, he was listening to the Mansons, the Zombies, the Slipknots, right? And he played guitar. And I always wanted to be in a band because I was like, man, this is like that. I wanted that to be my escape. And I connected with him, and me and him just kind of were like, this is MySpace days. So you got to think, like, to your point, there was no scene to connected with him. And then we kind of found the other bands like 40 minutes away and connected with them. And then that was kind of like our scene. We're like, oh shit. And then next thing you know, we just kind of, it was not in my hometown, that's for sure. I had to drive just like Walmart, you know, I had to drive 40 minutes.
Yeah, I grew up. So like, it's interesting listening to you because for me, the dichotomy is so different. I grew up in Miami, Florida. I grew up in like a giant metropolis where there was like anything and everything you wanted to do.
Yeah, and I grew up in Detroit. So
when I moved to Michigan, to Lansing's not a big city. It's you know, Lansing realistically is somewhere in the like the 300, 400,000 range. So it feels big enough, but it's still definitely like a small town.
Lansing is like a chick who's a 6 who thinks she's a 9.
Pretty much. So I came here and I saw the sort of like small town mentality, like everybody knew everybody, and I was like, what? Like, I lived in a city where it was like, even though it was a really big city, you still knew everybody, but like, I didn't even see like squirrels. Like when I got to Michigan, I saw black squirrels. I was like, there's diversity in fucking animals here. That's insane.
Bruh, straight up, I did not know squirrels came in anything besides brown until I was and I saw gray and black squirrels and it freaked me out.
So listening to your story it's reminiscent of coming here to Michigan and finding all that stuff out. So I definitely see where like for you being into all that music, because it seems like a lot. I dated a girl from a very small town here. It was like everybody knew everybody knew everybody's family, like literally like cousin, brother, like second cousin, and then everybody like country, you know. And then, so I must imagine for you just felt like, I get it, like you felt like a fish out of water. And
it was weird though, man. I felt like a fish out of water, but you know, I always try to find the good in everything. You know, I could see through even some of the bullshit, some of their mentalities and stuff. I'm like, they're just small town, small minds. These, you know, these people don't know, you know, they
don't know anything
at the
past.
time I didn't fucking know better, but I know you don't treat people like this or do that. Or I'm like, but there's gotta be more out there in the world, you know? So I always kind of grew up questioning everything, you know, just kind of, you know, I was just, that was a big thing, man. I question, fuck, even 33 years old now, or 34, I can't remember. I think I'm 33. Question that. I don't even know what I am, but you know, I'm always questioning shit, you know. I love the question thing. So
the smart ones do, bro.
Yeah.
So whatever happened to the first EP from Awakening Nightmare?
Oh shit. Well, dude, so that was actually a band. Do you know that band, or you just know that I was in the band?
I know that you're in the band, and I know that you're in the band because I'm friends with Raina Z, who you're friends with, and we would always, while we were on tour, we talked about it. So they told me a lot about it. It was interesting.
So Waking Nightmare was definitely, you know, to your point when you said how do you connect with the scene and all those things, that was the band that we found when I was young. I was like probably 15. Be like, whoa, there's a band in like 40, 35-minute drive around me that's like this. Holy shit. And that was the band, Waking Nightmare. And then, you know, later on in life, you know, Berg kind of stepped away from the band for a little bit. The band kind of was like all in shambles. So they went with their third best option, probably me, I guess, to play bass. But yeah, no, that was cool, man. That was a cool experience. Yeah, Awakening Nightmare. That was definitely, I would say they were they paved the way for that Washington, Pennsylvania, it's called, area where Raina Z's from. Yeah, they definitely paved the way for the music scene over there. I will give them props on that. Berg from Raina Z was a big him and I think their other guitar player, but he's not in the band anymore, Blink. Yeah. They were pioneers, man. They were like 10 years ahead of time for sure.
That's awesome. So you get to this point where you discover this music that you love, you have all these artists, and you're sort of this, you know, like the rest of the outcast weirdo in this place where you feel like, you know, you don't belong here. What comes next? Like, how do you take that next step and get out of where you are?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually just sent, I do this thing, it's called the 666 Club at Blackcraft, $6.66 a month, you know, very, very rock and roll, very metal, right? Very clever, you know. I was kidding. But I just sent out an email today about manifesting and vision boards, right? And I want to touch on this for a second because to go into that question, it's funny, right? So I'm this outcast kid, you know, I'm 14, 15, 13, I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark. And my whole walls are covered with like Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, right? Rob Zombie, you know, Papa Roach, Mudvayne, just stuff that I just would rip out posters and put them on my wall, you know. 13-year-old me don't know what the fuck a vision board is. 13-year-old me don't know what the fuck manifesting is, you know. And I would put on their records and I would just think, man, one day I want to be in a band. I want to live in California. I want to tour the world. And I would look at all these bands on my wall and I would set up like fake concerts in my room at 13, you know, just like sing along to the tracks. But dude, this was like a fucking daily thing, you know, like this was like at least for 4 hours a day, man, at some point at night, you know, I'm blaring Papa Roach, I'm blaring Mudvayne, I'm blaring, you know, and I'm singing along like I'm fucking Jacoby, you know, which I'll get into in a minute too. I had a really cool experience last night with that. But, you know, 13, you know, my dumbass 13-year-old, you know, I didn't realize this was a vision board I'm staring at in my room. But, you know, when I was 17, I got an offer from this band called 18 Visions to leave for tour.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa. And I remember thinking to myself, whoa, like, all good.
Sorry, I don't know why my computer. Continue. Sorry.
So, you know, 17-year-old Bobby is like, well, wait a second. That band's from Orange County, California. I've always wanted to end up in Orange County, California. I've been talking about it for years. I'm like, okay. And they're like, dude, we're on the Vans Warped Tour. We need a merch guy. You got recommended through a friend, and I was like a super fan of the band at the time. I'm like, dude, I'll do it, like for whatever you guys need. And then long story short, you know, I did that tour. And it's just a trip, dude, because then I got to move to California at 17. And you know, fast forward, I toured, played in bands, worked for bands, and shit, I even got to end up doing a band with a guy from 18 Visions. You know, Bleeding Through was another metal band that changed my life. And the next thing you know, I'm playing bass in Brandon Chipetti from Bleeding Through, lead singer, his other band called Suffer Well. And I'm like, what is my life? And then, like, you know, fast forward now to Blackcraft, like last night, you know, I was just talking about the vision board thing for a second. It was like, it hit me, man. I'm 33. I'm standing at Shakey's Pizza Parlor in Santa Monica Boulevard up in Hollywood last night. I'm standing there with my girlfriend, and I'm like, this is a fucking trip. Papa Roach private show. Papa Roach played for like 150 people last night. Yep. Just close friends, whatever. And Jacoby texted me like out of the blue, like, dude, come man, come hang. I'm like, okay. And I'm standing there, and they play, you know, Scars and, you know, Getting Away with Murder and Last Resort. And I'm just like, it just hit me, dude. I just was like, I got in the car with my girlfriend, and I'm just like, she's like, you good? I'm like, yeah, this is like a moment for me. Like, this is so weird because Jacoby was on my walls, you know, like Chad from Mudvayne was on my walls, and now Chad's on my Twitch show. And then, like, you know what I mean? Then like Avenged Sevenfold, or like some of my best friends I'm doing business with, like, I'm like, I don't know, just everything just like hit me, you know? And I'm like, whoa. So I sent out an email today about manifesting and vision boards and how real all that shit is, man.
No, it is. Me and Span have talked about it before. Just like how you look at your life, you're looking at things and you go, these are the things that I want. But if you don't like really believe in it, it'll never really come to pass, right? And it's cool that you're sitting there and you're talking about this stuff, because I was the same way in Miami. I was like, you know, before I discovered rock, I was like into Hispanic music because I'm from Puerto Rico. Like, that's all I really knew. My dad, like your dad, was a rock and roll dude. So he would put on his Led Zeppelin and he would put on his Stevie Ray Vaughan and Kiss record. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. And I'm putting up my Korn posters, my Deftones posters, you know, Mudvayne posters and shit like this. And then, you know, I'm like, I want to be in a band. This is what I want to do. And we started the band in the basement, and always just thinking about, man, it would really be cool to play with all these bands. And I would just listen to these records and do these records. And not in my mind thinking this would ever happen, but like manifesting and shit. And then fast forward, it's like I've played with so many of my favorite bands, and just like with the band, doing interviews and shit, right? Like, you know, for you, I'm sure, like, when you got into your record, you know, getting into the record and shit on radio, I don't think you ever really had yourself speaking to like that one story that you had in Mudvayne was fucking hilarious, you know. So he has a story that we'll go about other time. He's got a great story about Mudvayne. So you go on tour with all these bands, which, by the way, like all those bands you named are like all the bands that influenced us. Like, fuck, man, I remember like when Bleeding Through was like playing like the underground here in Michigan.
Here we go, hardcore metal dork chatter.
So I mean, you're on tour, you're looking at all this stuff, and you're fucking meeting your heroes that you like thought about and were sitting in your room and you manifested all this stuff. Where does that sort of go right into the whole?
So yeah, so I was touring a lot, you know, I was taking every opportunity I can. I was doing whatever the fuck it takes, man, because I knew I wanted to be in the music industry. I was never really a great musician, right? I was more interested in like the music or the business side of the music industry. And
some of the biggest bands are the shittiest musicians ever. So
true. These are facts. But for me, it was like, you know, I would connect with fans on the road, whether I was in like a really small band or a decent sized band, whatever it was. I would connect with people, and I'm like, they would come to the merch table, and I would connect. I'm like, it was such a great feeling to connect with you. Then I kind of like started piecing it together, and I'm like, you know, we only make money. The only thing that keeps us surviving is merch, right? Really, like unless you're a big band, you know, you don't have big guarantees, right? The merch is what got us the gas, what got us the food, what got us to the next spot. And I'm like, you know, I'm designing all the merch already. I'm like, I really want to do a clothing brand. Like, but I you know, every band dude had a clothing brand back in, this is 2012, right? This is when I started Blackcraft 2012. I was like, but I want to do something real meaningful. Like, I just channeled all that fucking anxiety I had as a kid, of like just that never felt like I fit in anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like I just took all that anxiety and all that feeling and just put it right into Blackcraft and the slogan, create your own future, believe in yourself. And, you know, our whole thing is, you know, we're a family, right? The Blackcraft family. Doesn't matter like what your race is, what your sex is, whatever, right? It's just we're just one big fucking family, man. And it was just something I wanted to create for the outcast, because I know that California, New York, it's not like the rest of the world. You know, the rest of the world's like 98% is like the Midwest, you know, and a lot of people feel very, you know, it's not LA, you know, fuck, I even live here in Orange County sometimes in Newport Beach, and walking around with pink fucking hair, people look at me fucking weird, you know? So I can't imagine trying to walk around with pink hair. I did it in you know, a fucking bumfuck town, you know? So, you know, I just put all that anxiety into Black Craft, and I just wanted to create something that, you know, people felt like they could, you know, grab a hold of, because that's what people do with music, right? I put on a song, I like a band, they make me feel a certain way, I feel like I get lost in it. So I was like, man, I want to do that with clothing, much more than just a clothing brand. I want to have like a real meaning behind it. And that's how Black Craft started, 2012. $100 bill.
That's
crazy.
That's crazy. No, it's interesting too, because I know that Span probably has a few questions that you've wanted to ask, and I've talked so much, so I'm gonna let you.
Well, I mean, you initiated this whole thing. Like, I could go into radio charmy asshole question motherfucker mode all day. Like, feel free to like say whatever you want and ask whatever you want, but you pull it out of heavy metal dork chatter and go more to like generic rock asshole chatter. When you go back to your, have you ever been back to your like hometown with your full like Black Craft tattooed accoutrement before?
Oh yeah, man. Of course. My daughter.
And how do they react? Do they just look at you like, oh my God, what is this little fur?
To be honest with you, bro, I don't go out. There's nowhere to go out back home. So, you know, all the made fun of and all the looks were when I was at school, you know? So yeah, I mean, but going back to Pennsylvania, I mean, fuck, just flying into Pittsburgh International Airport and I'm walking through, people are like, must be some famous rapper, rocker, maybe. I don't know. Should I know you? Wait, I think I know you. No, wait, I don't know you. Shit, I don't know. You know, like just weird shit. But yeah, no, it's funny, man. Definitely going back there. Yeah, it's a whole different mentality. I like going back because, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of good in people back there, right? Like you were saying, you find good people anywhere. There is I love going back there because it's like my roots and it grounds me. And you know, I'm so appreciative of where I came from. I would not be able to appreciate. I genuinely don't think if I was raised in Orange County or LA, I don't think I would be where I'm at today. You know, I needed that fire under my ass to like, because I came from nothing, you know, so it's like, I appreciate fucking everything, man, you know, which is one of my favorite things in the world. I could find good in anything, dude. That's what my hometown did for me.
Well, I mean, you lived a band tour life, so I know you appreciate shit, because you know what it's like to sleep on somebody's floor in some town that you don't know who this person is. They're like, by the way, when you flush the toilet, you got to do this. Because if not, you're gonna flood the house.
Bro, Ronnie Radke and I from Falling in Reverse, you know, when he was in Escape to Fate, we toured together. And one of my favorite stories to tell about him, you know, back in the day when he was addicted to drugs way back then, he turned his whole life around. So he's like a brother to me. I'm so stoked. But he fucking he busted out our van window like middle of a winter tour to get the drugs out of the van. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, we were sleeping here with 8 guys. Like, really? He's like, fuck, man. You know, like, fuck. And then we were driving down the freeway. You see it for like Interstate 70, I-80 with a fucking piece of plywood, you know, like hammered.
I-80 is brutal in the winter. I think that
black ice, no joke there.
The fucking weirdest story I have for being on the road, like staying in some random ass place, was we were in South Carolina, Spartanburg, South Carolina. I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's nothing in Spartanburg. There's like this venue, and then it's just like a scene from People Under the Stairs. Like, it's just fucking terrifying, right? So this guy's like, you can stay at my place. And, you know, we're like, fucking sure. his exact
famous last words. That's how every horror movie starts.
Yeah, no shit, right?
His exact words were, it's not the nicest place, but I live there. And I was like, this is going to be a problem.
Yes, it is. It is. You are sleeping in feces tonight.
We get there. There's a fucking hole in the middle of this dude's trailer. His bathroom isn't even built. So you have to like take the top off the toilet to flush, but you can only like pull halfway or like it overflows. It was fucking terrifying. So,
okay, I have to say this. a man who lives in that level of squalor has to have a certain kind of faith and love in your ability to accept him, despite knowing that his circumstances are a pittance compared to anything you're remotely comfortable with.
Oh, dude, his mom was hilarious though, because we got
his mom was in the trailer with him.
Wait, it gets better. So we stayed there. He's like, my mom's gonna come in the morning. Don't be alarmed. And we're like, okay. So it's like 8 in the morning, and this person pulls up in a pair of like cargo shorts and a white t-shirt. And like, I thought it was a dude. And she comes up, she's like, how you doing, dude? You want some Bud Light? And she like throws a fucking Bud Light at us. And it's like, let's get it going. Opens it up, and we're like, you gotta go.
Bud Light for breakfast.
I do not miss tour.
That's what I'm gonna ask you is like, now that you've been, you're this entrepreneur, and honestly, it's really inspiring because I remember 10 years ago when Black Craft first started, there's a band that we're friends with that I mentored for a while, a band called This Is Nothing. They've been wearing Black Craft for like fucking ever, like when they first started.
So I love those boys.
That's where I found out
about great fucking band.
Great fucking band. And that's where I found out about Black Craft. And I was started following and seeing shit. And then you have this like Twitch channel that you start. And then that starts to pick up steam, and you have at that time you had West Borland on the show. And that just blew up. And then now your channel is basically, one and the same with Danny Wimmer Presents, which is it's the biggest rock production company in the United States, hands down, right? So how did that even come about? What the fuck happened?
Yeah, so it's funny. It's perfect. It's like almost paid you to set me up like this, man. This is perfect. With Black Craft, we work with so many sign bands: Metallica, Kirk Hammett, Slipknot, Corey Taylor, Fall in Reverse, Avenged. I mean, in this moment, like whatever, list goes on. Deadmau5, whatever. And kind of like right before the pandemic hit, it was the timing of all this was pretty spot on too. So right before the pandemic hit, late 2019, we had an artist relations guy that just left the company, and I kind of was looking through the emails, and I was like, holy shit, is there a fuck ton of emails in here? And I started looking, and they were all from unsigned bands. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, whatever, scroll, click. I was like, click back. I'm like, holy fuck, his band's unsigned? I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, scroll down, I'm like, click, like, hold on, this band's unsigned? Because, they're like, we're unsigned, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. So as I'm going through this, I was starting to build out a program at Black Craft where I wanted to endorse unsigned artists because I wanted to give back because I've been there. I want to help, and just like you found out about Black Craft through an unsigned band, right? I'm like, they could we could help them. They could help us. Everybody wins. So pandemic hits, it fucked with my head like it fucked with everybody's head, right? And I felt like, fuck, I need to connect with people at the Black Craft supporters I want to connect with. And I just started a Twitch channel, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna play some unsigned bands, show up, get in the chat. If you think I should endorse this unsigned band, let's rock and roll. And then I started doing it like 3-4 days a week during the pandemic, because what the fuck else are you gonna do during a pandemic, And dude, that's how the channel kicked off. Marlene Mendoza, Timmy Taylor, the Alpha Complex. That's what started my whole vision. And then West Borland was a good friend, and we were talking about doing some podcasts, which we started doing. And I'm like, honestly, dude, we should get to Twitch. Like, we should get to Twitch. And then Josh Balls from Motionless and White, now my co-host. But I got the call from Danny Wimmer, and I was saying on another episode I just recorded, I didn't know Danny Wimmer was a person. I just heard of
It is so huge an organization. You kind of just think it's just named after some nebulous.
I just figured
maybe a random ass white dude who's right at the center running this massive beast of a thing.
Well, in all fairness to me, I always knew it as DWP. Like, I didn't know it as Danny Wimmer Presents, just because on the sponsorship side of Black Craft, we have a whole team, and my hands are kind of out of that. But I pay attention when we're spending money, So for example, at DWP Fest, we sponsor a lot of tours. We sponsor Slipknot tour in this moment. So we do a lot of fests, right? but I always remember DWP, that name sticking out in my head. And then I was like, oh, it's Danny Wimmer Presents. And I'm like, oh, and that was like my thought about it. You know, I was like, so we did Chicago Open Air, and we had our own Blackcraft stage. And dude, it was not cheap. You know, it was not cheap by any means. And when you're sponsoring like that, you know, your sponsorship dollars, you know, some people just don't give a fuck, right? Like some companies take your money, don't give a fuck about you. The thing that I always stuck in my head about DWP was their whole festival was always an experience, you know, and they treated my company so well. They made sure like our staging was, you know what I mean? Like everything was so good. They went above and beyond. They made sure my staff was, I just remember like them really sticking out. So then we did some other shit with them in Sacramento at Aftershock, and we did a stage again, and they treated us like gold. And I was like, fuck, man, this DWP company is massive. Like, I didn't really understand. You know, when you see a festival, I'm not really paying attention to who's putting it on. So fast forward, pandemic hits, Twitch is rolling. I get a phone call. This guy's like, hey, Danny Wimmer wants to talk to you. And I'm like the guy, like the Danny Wimmer, like they're like, yeah. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, because, you know, now at this point in my life, I'm like, I know who he is. Like, I know like what they are as a company. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take that fucking call. Like, let's rock and roll. And he's like, hey man, see what you're doing with Blackcraft. You know, I think what you build is incredible. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, Danny Wimmer? You know, I'm like, fuck. All right. He's like, what's the Space Zebra thing you're doing right now? I'm interested. I see the Instagram. It looks cool. We're looking to kind of move in this rock and roll space, media space. What's up? And I was like, dude, this is not a phone call. You gotta feel my energy in person, because I'm an energy guy. I was like, I need to come in. I got this whole vision, man. I'm fucking crazy. And it's funny because I came in and I was like, dude, like it's got to be like this and that and this and that. And Wimmer's like, I don't know about unsigned bands, man. He's like, nah. He's like, I don't think. I mean, you've heard him say it on the show. You know, he's like, nah. I'm like, bro, you're fucking crazy, man. I'm like, you're fucking so wrong about unsigned bands. I'm like, dude, you don't get it. I'm like, you don't fucking get it. I was like, I'm gonna prove to you. I'm gonna do my own, like, I'm gonna prove it. And then he would check in on me. You know, he's like, man, Bobby, you're a fucking maniac. And then he would check in on me and be like, damn, fuck it. People care about these unsigned bands. I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, while this is happening, Twitch calls Danny Wimmer and is like, this is Twitch. We identify, you know, DWP as like the leading rock fucking, I don't know, gatekeeping fucking, you guys are the rock and roll, you know, which is fair. Like,
oh yeah,
you know, they identify rock and roll as DWP, and it's so true. We want to give you guys like a rock channel. And Wimmer's like, I don't fucking know about Twitch. It disrupts our core business, you know, because Wimmer's he is very like, I'm trying to think on how to put this, like, he's a fucking leader, you know, he's a fucking leader, man. And when that guy says something, you really listen, and he's really thought out, and he's a visionary, he's an executor, he's all these things. So when he says, nah, you're kind of like, yeah, you don't really challenge it, because you're like, yeah, there's a reason why he's 10 steps ahead of you before you could even calculate that, you know?
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, no, dude, I like challenged him on this one. I'm like, dude, no. I'm like, say yes, you know, but there was obviously other people working on, like, shout out to Marine and Danny Hayes. They were really pushing it through. I'm like, guys, let me and fucking producer Jake run with it. Like, trust me. And Wimmer's like, I don't think Twitch wants unsigned bands. Like, it's not going to work, man. Twitch calls back to like, we want like a battle of the bands, like unsigned bands. Do you do that? I'm like, bro, trust me, you know? And here we are, 8-9 months in, man. And I think we're at like 13 million views, you know? We're averaging about 1.5 million viewers a month right now. Like, it's crazy.
The channel fucking has blown the fuck up.
I know, for guys, I am so sorry to interrupt, but we're running out of time because Zoom is ass.
Oh, maybe a part 2, huh?
Yes, we absolutely can do a part 2. Bobby, are you down to come back? We do some more talking about rock and everything else, DWP and Blackcraft?
I would love to come back as a part 2. And honestly, let's I got a few ideas for part 2. So let's keep everyone kind of hanging on this one, actually. So I got something cool.
For sure, man.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on Beats and Beatdowns podcast, Bobby. We look forward to doing this with you again very soon.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this with us, man. It's good to see you. It's good to talk to you, man. I always love talking to you and communicating with you. You're, for me, just on a personal level, very inspiring.
Likewise, man.
Helped me out a lot, and I hope that we can work together way more on fucking band stuff and whatever else. And, you know, if you need another Blackcraft band, know where to find me. So.
Of course, man. Whatever the fuck you guys want. I mean, how you're not endorsed by Blackcraft?
No. You keep forgetting, but I never bother you. I don't like bothering
You
you.
gotta fucking bother me, man. What the fuck? You got my phone number. Text me. Say, hey, man, hey, asshole. Give me a Blackcraft endorsement. You got me.
All right.
The dogs are going nuts.
Do your mutual dick sucking later. Zoom is about to close this shit down. Bob, it's been awesome. We'll talk to you real soon. And don't leave the dogs will be barking over my talking.
All
I
right,
kind of
take
like
care,
it.
Bob.
Let's do it. See you
We'll
guys.
see you, buddy. Bye.
Peace. See you.